time, and it looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. What week are we in here? We're in what, round 4 of FRL?
Yeah.
And everybody showing up at once here. Welcome everybody. It's round 4 here of FRL. Hope everyone's having a great day. Syntex, I hope you're having a great day. We're here at Imola, and of course, Imola, a great track. Everybody loves Imola. There was a little debate on if we wanted to race at Monaco this weekend, but ultimately we settled in for Imola, and I'm not upset about it. Are you, Syntax?
I guess not really, because my heart is already broken because of today's Monaco race, and I'm so sad that Leclerc didn't win. I hope someday the Fatum will be broken and Leclerc will show that he can win a race in his hometown, and this will be definitely his day. But about today's Imola, this track is just beautiful, and I don't have any other words to describe this track. I fully love it, and I'm speechless because this will be probably my first race because I was absent last time in previous season when we were driving in the Imola, so I'm quite hyped for today.
I really like Imola. I think Imola is a gorgeous track to commentate, watch, and race on all the way around. It's always fun. Drivers just now getting out to start their first laps here. Kubu's out, and then right behind him, I believe that is going to be Fishu. That are going through the main straight now, heading towards turns 2, 3, and 4, also known as Tamburello. Imola, another track like Monaco. Ooh, a big mess up from Kubu there. He's going to have to abort that lap. As I was saying, Imola, a track that is very well known by corner names and not so much known by corner numbers. It seems like all of the big tracks here in Formula One are all known by corner names, and for some of these drivers, I think it's going to make it more fun because this is one of those tracks that you can consider it a staple here in Formula One. So it's a track that all the drivers need to have in their repertoire and really know what they're doing with. So it really does stand out to me as a race where we're going to really show the pace differences between the drivers.
Exactly, and I think Imola will definitely show that the difference between the pace, especially that in few corners track is very tricky because you can invalid very easily here, also gain a lot of penalty points. So yeah, I think we're going to see today a very interesting race, Brad.
Syntex, what are we thinking pole time? We see a 1:15.3 is the first time put in by Fishu, and then Puhash, our championship leader, just put in a 1:15.6. What are we expecting here for a pole time? Is that 1:15.3, is that going to set the pace, or how far down are these times about to come?
I think it's too early just to even to speculate because the driver just making their first on hot laps, and as we know, us is further to ending the qualification. The times are most closer to each other, so I think about that we still have to wait. But about the quali pace, I will say like low 1 minute 15, maybe 1 minute 14 is. That gap that will be, I will say, easily breakable. But for now, Fish should have 2 tenths in front of the Bemolino Gaucho, so it's pretty impressive time just right now.
Really impressive times coming through. Fishy setting the pace early. Of course, Pujols, our championship leader, and then Sanquinor in currently in P4 here in the qualifying, but he is, of course, P2 back to back to back P1s and P2s for Pujols and Sanquinor. Do we think this weekend they're going to break that streak, or are we expecting things to kind of stay where they are here and a similar finish? Or is somebody going to bust through and we're finally going to see somebody finish P1 who's not a McLaren?
Of course, Puchacz is looking like for the mainly dominant right now, and I think we have a first crash in the qualification session is Bemolino Gaucho. Um, But coming back, Sanguinier just beat the Fishes time. It's not that big time gap between first and second place, but still is achievable to beat that time. And of course, going back to topic, that question you asked me, I think Puchacz looking very strong right now with high dominance in the general standings. It will be an amazing achievement to win 4 races in a row. So there's a high pressure just in front of the Puchacz. But of course, we have a lot of great drivers on the track. So maybe today we will have some kind of surprise. I'm counting on it really, really much.
But 2 always brings us exciting racing, so I really am looking forward to seeing the different things here. One of the things I do want to note is we do have a new reserve driver in, Razor 98. New reserve driver in this week. Do you know a lot about him, Syntax? Are we expecting, big things? I know we've had reserve drivers surprise us in the past, but I don't know a lot about Razor, so can you tell us anything?
Uh, if if I'm thinking correctly, I guess I was driving with Razor when he was going to test that he's a clean driver or to just to check his pace. And I remember that he was a clean driver with a quite good pace. So I think we can expect the Razor to attack. I will say top 10, but it's only my guessing. I never seen him in the like full race, so I guess we still have to wait until the race will start, and then we will see what will Razor bring. Just to enjoy that, of course. But anyway, do you think the speaking which, Razor just made pole right now, 1 minute 15.2. So as I said before, low 1 minute 15 is achievable.
Welcome to FRL, Razor. That was an impressive time to come out of the new driver here in the league. I was not expecting that, actually. So, looking through here, Vixie on an outlap going extremely slow coming down the hill heading toward Ravazza. I'm really curious because he's the only driver that hasn't set a lap yet. I'm really excited to see exactly what he is about to put in coming out of Ravazza here, throttled down. Should be a good lap coming in here from Vixie. Syntax, do you want to talk us through a lap here?
uh, with the Vixie, because you currently, I see you spectating Vixie. Yeah. So basically, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and turn 5. Most deadliest, I will say, turns on the track. Very easy to spin, and of course hit the wall. And as we know, how is ending any contact with the wall in this game, Especially, I know that very good from myself. It could be very, very bad. But anyway, Aqua Minerali that currently Vixie is going on through. Also, very easy place to spin. As we saw already, we have two drivers. El Joker, now Beast 2000. We already saw two spawns. So, as I said before, it's beautiful track. I will say the main straight on the start is the easiest place to try to attack and try to overtake, because DRS here is very strong. And also, if you will use also a battery, it will be even easier. But of course, anything could happen, and beautiful defense from any of the drivers might be a little bit hard for the any driver that will try to attack, because if you try to hold inside, you really need to go wide on the T1, and you're already losing the time. So yeah, I would say that you have to
Ooh.
do it before the T1.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Syntax. On board with Bis 2000, and he was coming through, I believe that was Villanova, and just absolutely slammed into the wall there. That was a horrendous crash, and it looks like just a snap of oversteer from him there. But unfortunately for Bis, that is going to be where he's at. And for him, that is P15 set. Very unfortunate from him. While we were watching Vixie's lap come through, Puhash went in with a 1:15.1. So really trying to set strong times here. Sankmanor is coming through Aqua Minerali right now. And he sets purple middle sector up by half a tenth here. So it's very, very close between the drivers already. And I think Split 2 is what's really fun for us because it is such a close battle. So down the main straight with DRS, the only DRS zone is going to be, I think we're going to see a lot of good lunges into turn 1.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, just for now, McLaren team looking very strong. Also, Sanquino just jumped into the second place with 1 minute 15.2, so also a very good time. And as we see already, the time gap is closing very much, and the time difference between the drivers, just in, like, I would say from top P1 to P4, is very, very close.
Track is continuing to ramp up here as we go. 6 minutes and 20 seconds left, and we're on board with Senor here as he's coming down the main straight. And in front of him, that is Offski, his teammate, who just went off there out of the final corner. Senor was purple middle sector and put in a 1:15.4, so only good enough for P5, but purple middle sector. That was a big crash from his teammate there right in front of him. Unfortunate there for Mercedes, is that is going to lock Offski into P13, which is going to force a pretty interesting strategy. 6 minutes left to go, and most drivers are into the pit. A couple drivers that are on alternate running plans here. It looks like Razor and Kubu are out of sync with the rest of the pack. But that could prove good for them. If it's a minute 15 lap around, that does leave time for another run around and then another push lap. So could be a good strategy from them.
About the strategy, because you will probably ask me that question, what is the best strategy? It's possible to go for the one pit from softs to mediums to attack, and it's really easy to do that. And Riser with a beautiful time, 1 minute 14.9, so he is the first driver that beat time of 1 minute 15 seconds. So now I will say 5 minutes to end of the qualification session. Just right now we're going like to start the real qualification session. And do you think Puhash, Sanquinor, Fishu will be able to beat that time?
I think all of the drivers have it in them to beat the time. I think it's really going to be a matter of who puts in the cleanest lap and is able to piece a strong lap together. We've seen multiple drivers, Senor and then Fishu, then Senor, and even Puhash that went purple middle sector on their laps, but then weren't able to keep the pace through the third sector. So it really is going to be a game of what driver is able to piece together a strong lap and put put together the best lap they can and really leave it all on the track. We see Nekshak here starting a flying lap, but he is going to have a traffic jam in front of him, I'm afraid, here. And he has Sanquinor in front of him, who's on an out lap. So hopefully for Nekshak, he doesn't get compromised through his lap as we watch him come around through Tamburello into Villeneuve here. And the Ferrari stays well out of his way at the moment, but he's of course going to have both AlphaTauris and then an Alpine in front of him as well that he's going to have to hopefully avoid there. As we see, it looks like one of the AlphaTauris just get right out of the way for him.
Kubu was on his another hot lap and was kind of blocked by Kushor that is currently on the out lap. I'm not sure about that he make it on purpose or maybe he didn't saw him. Hard to say, even though somehow Kubu is finishing his another hot lap and he managed to find 2 tenths and he is now currently on the 7th place.
Nekshak is coming around the final corner here, running down the main straight, DRS open, and of course the drivers hug the inside very hard there. Nekshak up into P4, and I think our crowd favorite is going to be Fishu this week here. Fishu still in the pits, not out for a final flying lap. Sanquinor starting his flying lap there, and you can see the Mercedes running off, pulling a Williams. Razor now DNFing out of the session. Don't know what happened to him there. But for the driver with a 1:14.9, a very strong time to be competitive. So it'll be interesting to see if Puhash, Sanquinor, Nekshak, Fishu, Senor, I think all of those drivers are at a good place where they could beat that 1:14.9, our top 5 here. So just watching as the final couple minutes tick down here. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left to go as we watch Sanquinor come through Aqua Minerale and up and then back down the hill. It's really going to be very close between these drivers. And of course, qualifying 1 lap pace is amazing, but do they survive turn 1?
And a big announcement for people that maybe doesn't know that our former driver Mafex will be coming back as a reserve driver, and if he will be able to find more time, because you know personal life sometimes is more important, and of course we are respecting that, he will back to us and try to show some beautiful skills as he shown us a few seasons ago, and I'm very happy and I'm very glad that he's coming back. Coming back to the qualification session, 1 minute 14 seconds to go, and currently grid looking very tight, and I'm really considering that Puhac will be trying to beat one more time the Razor's time and maybe jump on the P1. He just began his current hot lap, basically in less than 1 minute to the end of the qualification session, and I think is the last shot for the Puhac just to try to jump into the provisional pole position.
Puhac really throwing it through Tosa here, trying to find time, looking pretty good so far through the start of this lap. He needs to find 2/10 of a second in order to beat Razor's time. Sanquinor at a 1:15.2, who finished his flying lap earlier. He's into the pits, so Puhac is going to be the final driver I see on a flying lap. Vixie, I believe, might be behind him there. A little bit of a mistake through Aqua Minerale, but overall looking really good as he comes down here into Alta and still really trying to send it as he goes down into Ravazza. It's going to be the final chance he has to try to beat the time set in. Checkered flag falls, so Sanquinor, Nekshak, Fishu locked in on P5, Kushor, Velix locked in 8, Kubu Joker, and for Puhac, is he going to find the time across the line? 1:14.6, up by 4, almost half a second there. So for Puhac, it is going to be pole position, and for him, if only at the last second he could pull it out.
Totally out of the pocket, Puhac just take the pole position from the Razor, even that he crashed, I guess, in the qualification session. He will be starting from the P2, so front row. From my perspective, P2 is much better to start because on the pole you have to slightly turn to the right. But anyway, Vixie just jumped into top 10, placing himself on the P8, and this is probably our standing grid. But we have to wait until the Toby will finish his last hot lap, and he didn't improve, so basically he is standing on the P14, and that's how it's going to look like our grid for the Imola Grand Prix.
Pujols deciding to make it a nail biter at the very last second and pull out a time there. Very impressive from him. But Razor, the new driver here in split two, really setting his hand down and saying, "Hello, FRL, I am here." Not complaining a bit. We love to see reserve drivers who come in and really make a statement. Sanquinor, of course, P3 here, and I thought Vixie was going to be on a great lap there because Vixie went purple middle sector at the very end, so I got a little concerned. I thought he was going to throw a wrench in things and really bring himself up, but for Pujols, pulling out pole, it goes Pujols, Razor, Sanquinor, Nekshak, Fishu, Kushort, Senior, Vixie, Velix, and Bimolino are top 10 here. And I'm still rooting for something different to happen here, but Pujols grabbing pole, and then of course 3 P1s in a row. If he pulls out a first place finish, it's going to be very, very impressive to see from him, and that might be a record in FRL.
So another big announcement for people who also doesn't know that we have another a very solid, very good, very fast driver also is coming back to FRL. Do you know, Bradley, who is it?
Here in split 2, or are we talking about split 1?
Split 1.
Ah, you're talking about the champion of last season, aren't you, Jalajne?
Master of disaster, Żelazny, of course.
I believe that everybody is very scared in split 1. I've already seen a couple drivers in split 1 say, "All right, here's the battle for second place, guys." So
Yeah. This is
now
the main feel of the speaking in the pit lane between the drivers and between the teams. But now we have formation lap. Brad, what we can expect from the beginning of the race on the T1?
chaos, absolute chaos. So just looking at tires, the top 10 are all on softs, P11, P15, 16 on mediums. Everybody else sticking to the softs here. I don't have a good answer for you of exactly what we're about to watch. For Razor, he's going to be trying to go for a dive down into T1 and try to get the lead there. Sanquinor is going to try to take advantage of it as well. And then you're going to have Nekshak and Fishu just kind of sitting in the back, hoping to not get hit by someone not knowing how their brake pedal works, but then also hoping to see Pujols or Razor or Sanquinor make a big air so they can take advantage. So all the way through, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be 32 laps, and as long as the drivers survive lap 1, I think we're in for a very, very good race.
Also about the crash starting from the end of the grid, because he have penalties, and those penalties make him quali ban. That's why he just retire at the beginning. Of course, penalties that you have to respect. And then I'm really want to say that Crash will totally crash today the whole grid, and from the back of the grid he will try to attack the front line, maybe attack the podium. I hope so. We both know, I not even both, everyone knows that Crash also have a very good pace.
Ash is a strong driver, so I think even though he has a quality ban here, I think he's still going to have a fight from the back that's not really. It's going to affect him, but of course, as we know in FRL, strategies can be completely mixed up on the very first lap here. And I'm speaking of pit stop strategies, they're saying soft to hards or medium to hards is what AWS thinks. Now, do we think that is actually going to be the best strategy? I cannot tell you, but what I can tell you is here we are. Syntax, take us in.
Okay, so we were waiting, of course, for the lights, and the lights out, and away we go with a beautiful attack. As always, we're looking for first overtakes. Nextcheck with a very strong attack on the Sanguiner, trying to go so wide. Sanguiner, of course, will be trying to defend late break, going very wide. Because of that, Nextcheck will have opportunity to attack right now, but some problem with taking a grip. Fishu is getting closer to the Nextcheck. Just right now, we're seeing also Grazer trying to get closer to the Puchacz. So the beginning of the race isn't that carnage and that chaos that you said already. With some overtakes, we didn't have any contact, any wing broken. So I would say, woohoo! I've never seen anything like this.
Clean turn one, I'm very excited for watching everyone go through here as they run into Aqua Minerale for the first time. And as long as the drivers get through here clean, I think we've had a pretty solid lap one. And of course, Puchacz and Razor. Look at Razor trying to chase down Puchacz there. And then of course you have Nextcheck and Sanguinor, but then right behind them, Fishu and Senior trying to hold on. Look at that battle right there from Offski, trying to have a little bit of a dive there on Toby. And I don't believe he got that pass to stick. It's very close there, very neck and neck between Offski and Bimolino now. And Bimolino is going to have a dive up the inside here into Rivazza. And coming around here, Bimolino is going to get the pass on Offski. So lots of action all the way through the field here as we watch Puchacz setting the fastest lap here, setting the pace underway. And we're going to watch here as Nextcheck is going to think about a dive into turn one. A little too far back for a good dive. So for another lap, the drivers are going to just file in here and hold on. But Syntax, lap one we're through, all the drivers are here, so I think the action is going to be very, very tense for the rest of this race.
Maybe I made some mistake because we already seen that we have two drivers in the pit lane. It's Crash and Kubu, so probably there was a contact between those two drivers. But anyway, coming back, as we can see, the biggest gap between the drivers is already on the top 10. The rest in front of him, in front of the Vixie, is so close to each other, and basically it making a really, really big DRS train. So we still have to wait until the next lap, but Bemolino Gaucho just before, on the beginning, on the second lap, used a lot of his battery just to overtake Toby, but as we can see already, it wasn't a very good idea because he already lose that position. Anyway, two of the drivers already have also 3 seconds time penalty, so it will be a very difficult for them to go for the end of the race. We still have a lot of laps in front of ourselves. DRS is enabled, so right now I will say the main battle of the whole race just began.
There's the big battle at the front, but something I'm noticing too, look at P15 and 16 here, Crash and Kubu running their own race, but battling like it's for P1 as they come through out of Aqua Minerale, and I believe they just went through Alta there, but I've noticed their timings, they've been going back and forth like it's a battle for P1, and they're battling for last place. And looking through here, the top 4 really are interesting to watch. It's really, again, we have the top 4, top 5 separating from the rest of the pack, and then the battle in the back of the pack is fun as well. Syntax, I think we're going to have another action-packed day where we don't know what to watch here as we watch Razor still trying to chase down. At one point, his gap was down to around 1/10 of a second there on Puchacz, but Puchacz putting in a little bit of extra pace this lap, it looks like, and trying to go ahead and start building that gap of over a second. Sanguinor, though, is trying to chase down Razor as well, so I think this top 5 battle, these top 5 cars that are kind of breaking away from the rest of the pack are going to be a really, really fun fight to watch. As we watch Kushor here on Senior down the main straight, and Kushor is going to get himself up into P6 there, and then Joker and Velix, very similar pass here. DRS not super powerful in Imola if I'm remembering right, but just enough to help with passing down the main straight.
Yeah, and I would say also a very, very important thing is just to save as much battery, as much ERS as you're able. And as I see, a few drivers, for example, Nexak, are already less than 10%. It's already 4 lap and he don't have battery. He don't have any way to defend or attack the Sanguinior and defend from the Fishu. So it will be a very difficult situation for him right now. Of course, maybe somehow he will manage to save it from the few corners. But anyway, I wouldn't say it would be enough. Just to try or even defend. So it's a very comfortable situation for Fishu, but also a beautiful overtake from the senior Piotras, and I need to agree with you, it's another ways where there's a lot of situation and close fight between the drivers on the grid today, and I don't know where to look right now. Toby is trying to attack Vixie, trying to go outside, but Vixie also have the RS. I guess more battery, that's what I said before. If you don't have battery, you don't have any opportunity to attack, and Vixie just took advantage of that. He didn't let him overtake himself, and he still stays on the 10th place. And we have also a fight. Nexiak just spun on the T5, as I said before. Very tricky corner, might be a very painful, but I hope there's nothing happened to Nexiak, only might his wheels be a little bit higher on the temperature, and I hope he will manage to make that temperature a little bit lower. Also, Fish should just jump into the 4th place. Kubu with the fastest lap of the race right now, 1 minute 17.6, and I will say, Brad, the things on the grid start settling down a little bit. Of course, still a lot of things happening right now, but we're seeing that from the P10 situation made a little bit calmer.
I really don't expect things to calm down, Syntax, here as we go through another round down the front stretch. Gaps have opened up at the front of the grid. Razor in the lead here, and Puhash 7/10 of a second back. DRS open, so he is going to gain a little bit here, and he's got to just hold on for another lap. Senor coming down the main straight, 3/10 of a second back there on Velix. Velix 3/10 of a second back on Joker, and none of them close enough for a pass into T1, but they are fairly close. Any sort of an error as they continue to go down, and run towards Villanova and Tosa, it should be a great opportunity for passes. As you can see, Senor goes really wide, and that's going to create a bit of carnage behind him there, and that is going to allow Vixie to try to have a run around the outside of Tosa. Very unconventional way to pass there, but side by side is they have the run down into Piratella, and the pass is done there for Vixie. Vixie up into P8 after a little bit of an error there from Senor, and for these drivers, it's just one little error, and it could cost them multiple positions with the way this track is laid out.
As I said before, without any penalties, without any contact with another car, without any extra pit, it seems like a very good recipe for have a very good position at the end of the race. But still, it's just the beginning of the race. We have currently 7th lap, and we're still seeing that the fight in front of the grid is getting closer and closer. Just right now, Sanguinior making his time gap a little bit bigger in front of the Fishu, and currently he'll lose his DRS option. Right now also Nexiak just lose, so something's happened. I didn't saw what happened, but did you saw that situation?
I didn't really see what happened either, but Nextrack lost a few positions there. I'm not exactly sure. Oh no! And Nextrack with a big hit there into Villeneuve, and I believe Bis 2000 with a wreck into Tamburello there, turns 2, 3, and 4. So 2 drivers wrecking in the span of the same lap, and that is absolutely a safety car. 2 drivers wrecking within one straightaway. At the same time, neither driver involved. Both, it looks like, was just unforced errors by the drivers trying to push. So safety car here on lap 7. And it's not, I don't think it's too early for pit stops if the drivers want to opt onto hard tires to the end of the race.
So as I said before, Crash is going to get much closer, and I think he will gain on this safety car a lot. Of course, he have to firstly catch up and then try to come back and attack firstly Toby Ovsky Senior Piotras just to catch the first top 10 drivers. The rest will show us what will happen. Just right now, Fishu decided to go as every single driver. So there's of course no option for the Crash jumping into the P1 currently because he's too far from the rest of the grid, but it will be just a best scenario for him if he will be a little bit closer to jump a little bit higher in the grid right now. But anyway, do you think that changing on the 8th lap for the medium compound will be a really good idea?
I don't think mediums are the way to go here. I think hard tires would have been better. It's a little bit slower, but the tires would have lasted longer. And the thing that throws me off here is looking through. We're watching the drivers come through Toza right now. Gorgeous corner, but looking at everything, Velix went onto a fresh set of softs, which is what's really confusing me here. And of course, every driver into the pits, a lot of teams double stacking, but it doesn't look like the grid mixed up too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, very interesting that every driver was into the pits except for Crash. Kubu, of course, was already in the pits when the safety car was called out, which is why he is so far back. But I don't know. I feel like the drivers are banking on another safety car or possibly committing themselves in to a two-stop strategy here. Velix is definitely going to be on the two-stop strategy. I wonder if that was just a miscall by the pit crew or just if he called for the wrong set of tires, because soft tires, he is going to jump some time, but he's committing himself to another pit stop, and that could cost him. Pit stops here are around 25 seconds, if I am recalling correctly.
It's possible. But anyway, Brad, if drivers want to finish on a medium compound, they must drive 24 laps on this compound. I wasn't saying anything about the hard compound. Why? Because it's very slippery, and now Crash deciding to go to the pit. I don't know, it's a very good decision for him right now. Anyway, we see. Oh, he's decided to change for the hard compound and probably go until the end of the race on this compound. Anyway, coming back. Somehow Vixie just gained 5 seconds penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. I don't know how it's even possible to make it under conditions under the safety car, but it must be painful because it's another 5 seconds. Anyway, I just want to finish my sentence because even that we have a safety car is a lot of things that happening on the grid right now. Even though it might be a very tricky just to finish on the medium compound. As I said before, 24 laps. At the end, definitely those tires will be very used. I would say like more than 70%. Maybe drivers decided to go for the strategy for two pits. We will see, but as you said before, Velix definitely should go for another pit stop because there's no chance that he will somehow manage to drive on the soft compounds until the end of the race. No way.
Safety car is in this lap, and the drivers, as you said, are going to have to be very, very timid on these tires. Crash and Kubu are going to be able to push, but they are on the hard tires, which is, in theory, the slower tire. Velix, I think, is going to look to pick up a lot of positions early on coming out of this as they come through Ravazza here. And for Razor, as soon as they come out of the corner, Razor is going to take this race back underway. And we're going to watch here, green flag running again here on lap 10 and single file as they run down the main straight here. I don't see any big passes coming out here. Velix trying to have a great run down in turn one. You can see he is thinking about a little bit of a dive here, not close enough into turn one. So another restart or a restart here, and all the drivers are clean through turn one.
we really want to see those things much more in upcoming races, right, Brad? It's a very beautiful thing when there's a no carnage on the T1, and as we have beautiful says that no heroics on the sign devote, that I would say is like no heroics on the any T1 in any F1 tracks right now, because it's just pointless and nothing good came out of it. But anyway, just right now we see that Crash somehow managed to overtake Kubo, and he's struggling a little bit, isn't it?
Looking at Crash here, it's the hard tires that I think are really gonna get these drivers here. Kubu just, I'm not sure if maybe there's another error or if maybe this just isn't his track, but doesn't seem to be having a great time coming down the main straight here. But Kubu is just now coming around Ravazza here. Of course, no DRS for 2 laps after safety car. For Kubu, I think this is going to be a track and a race he's going to ride off, but another safety car can always throw him back into the mix. 14 drivers in, and another safety car and a little bit of strategy and a little bit of luck there. Kubu could still be in the fight for points if Lady Luck just kind of turns his way. Looking back at the front of the grid here, as they come up and they are having the run down towards Aqua Minerale. At the moment, Razor pulling out 0.8 of a second here. Not a great runaway from Pujols and Sanquinor. Is I feel like Razor would want is he really needs to open things up. DRS will be enabled after this lap, and it looks like we've had a big spin there in Aqua Minerale, and that is Kushor who is spun. He's back underway, and I don't see any damage, but for Kushor, that is going to knock him way back in the grid there, and unfortunate for him for that to happen through Aqua Minerale.
Crash also try to attack very dangerously Vixie on the chicane. Now also we've seen Toby that spun. So there's even more places on this track to spinning, as I see. So I will need really to consider that in my own race, just to be more. I will say more careful. Just do not do that. And coming back, Crash. Just right now is currently on the P11, getting closer to the Vixie, and it looks like Crash today really wants to fight for the points, and if he will do that, that will be a very impressive from this driver. But coming back, Velix, even if he is on the soft compound, he already losing 2 seconds in front of the Bemolino Gaucho, and I'm really trying to guess that is this strategy very helpful for him. I have no idea what just happened that he lost so much time, but he really need to push just to try to catch Bemolino Gaucho, because we will have right now DRS again opened.
DRS is open here, and Pujols does not have DRS on Razor. Razor pulling out 1.5 seconds the gap. Sanquinor has DRS, though, closing the gap down to 0.3 of a second. Not close enough for the pass here. Bimolino gets around Joker as they come down into turn 1. Great pass there. You can see Velix and Senor very close together. Ofsky and Vixie side by side going into turn 1. A little bit of a slide there from Ofsky, and now that's going to bring Vixie and Crash into the mix. Look at Crash battling for the top 10 here. They're almost 3 wide. Crash is going to shove his car down the inside there of Vixie. Crash up into P10 there. And then Vixie battling back, though, and coming back around here as they run into Toza. And that means for Crash, for a split second, he was in the points. So I think for Crash on the hard tires, this race is far from over for him. And we could see him fight very far up the grid, as things aren't really opening up as they tend to do sometimes here in Split 2 in FRL. Sanquinor half a second back on Pujols still, so Sanquinor and Pujols are about to battle out for P2, and then it really is going to be a matter of can they close the gap on Razor, or will them battling let Razor open up the gap. And things are heating up very much, Syntax, as we continue to watch. Sanquinor coming down the main straight, DRS open. He's half a second back. Is he going to be close enough to make this pass happen here on Pujols? As he comes down, Pujols recharging his battery. Pujols is going to dive up the inside, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there. And for Pujols, he's going to hold on there. Sanquinor having to keep it a little bit wide. So Pujols, a little bit aggressive there in the defense, but for him, it is absolutely worked out in this occasion. Syntax,
Uh,
did you see anything crazy with that?
it's hard to say because, as I said before, the things might looks like it's a little bit calmer right now, and drivers don't want to make any heroics decision as we've seen before because we already know how it might end. For example, with the Nexac, with the Beast 2000. But coming back for the drivers, there's especially one thing that really amazed me, and that's the Razor that is in front of the Puchac, over 2 seconds in front of him. And I really can't believe that because the Puchac was always this kind of driver that was in front with that time gap in front of the rest of the drivers, right?
Right. 3 first place wins in a row here, and it looks like Pujols is on track to actually be knocked out of those 3 first places in a row. Watch here, Sanquinor and Pujols, a battle again here side by side as they go into Tamburello, and Pujols again defending against Sanquinor, if only barely. This has been amazing. Sanquinor needs a little bit closer there as they're side by side now going into Toza here. Sanquinor is going to try to go the long way around the outside there. They're side by side coming out of Toza, and now they're having to run into Piratella as they go down. And it looks like Sanquinor getting a little swirly there, trying to be on the defense and trying to close that gap from Pujols. Pujols down into P3 now. Sanquinor with a beautiful pass over the series of a few corners and able to get himself up there into second place. So Sanquinor trying to get his 4th second place in a row. It looks like Vixie has spun there in Toza, so Vixie is dropping back in the grid as well. But this front of the field battle is amazing to watch.
Exactly, the fights are really, really tight. Also, Fishu is coming to join this fight, and he gained a lot of time from this a very close battle between the Puchac and the Sanquinor. That Puchac just make Fishu able to catch the DRS, so he will be able to try to. I'm so sorry, my health isn't a very good condition today. Fishu is trying to catch Puchac, and I'm so sorry that I disturb you, Bradley. Take the voice, please.
No, you're fine. Watching through here, Pujols, Fishu, Sanquinor, the battle going around. This battle is a 3-way battle for P2, but look in the back there. Bimolino and Joker are starting to catch this as well. As they battle, they're losing touch with Razor. The gap now 4 seconds, but Velik's 4 seconds back as well. A second and a half separates Fishu from Bimolino, but that is starting to close as we watch them battle through Aqua Minerale for the 16th time. We're not halfway through this race, but you have to wonder, when is McLaren going to call the team orders here and try to order Fishu around Pujols? Because it really doesn't look like Pujols has that much pace here on this track. And unfortunately for him, that could spell the order to come around and let Fishu through to see if Fishu can get around Sanquinor there and try to haul back some more points for the team. Or are they going to try to let the championship leader stay up front here? It really is a case. It's like Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez in Red Bull. Where is the call going to be? Watch this, though. Pujols on Sanquinor, DRS on the inside. A little bit of a jump there from Sanquinor, trying to pull a George Russell there. If Pujols was Valtteri Bottas, they're going to come around here. They look good, and Pujols back up into P2. If only for this lap, it's still another lap that he's up in P2. Lap 17 here, and Syntax, this battle for the front is almost done and settled to a battle for P2. Over 4 seconds now, Razor to Pujols.
Yeah, and as you said on the beginning of the race about the Żelazny, that okay guys, we're going for the race today for the 2nd place, it looks like we have also the same situation for now in the split 2, because it's over almost 4 seconds time gap between the Puchacz and the Razor, so it's a huge time difference. And the closest battle, except the front grid and top 4 drivers, is Senior Piotras and Velix. Senior Piotras is really trying so much to catch Velix, but maybe actually this soft compound might be a little bit better for him right now, even though there's opportunity for the Senior Petras right now just to attack a little bit worse exit from the last turn, and right now we are seeing that Senior Petras is using everything that he have just to get closer and try to overtake Velix, and before T1 is it able to do that. Now Velix is trying to defend inside, but Senior Petras with a beautiful overtake, and he has done it.
Amazing overtake there from Senor with Velix. And Velix, I think, is still going to be fighting back here, of course. And there goes Senor. A massive slide there off of Villanova there. A massive slide for Senor. All of that battling, I'm guessing, overheated his tires. He's back underway there, and his teammate is going to get past him here through Toza. For Velix, though, soft tires, 9 laps old, seem to be not working. When is he going to pit in? And are the medium runners going to make it to the end? We're on lap 18 of 32. So can the medium runners make it another 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 laps?
As I said before, it might be possible, but Crash decided just to change his strategy from the hard compound to the soft compound, and I don't know why. Maybe he said like, okay, this compound isn't a very good for me to drive. Maybe he was a little bit slippery on this compound, on the hards, and that's why he decided to change for the softs. Anyway, really close to another battle is also El Joker versus Bemolino Gaucho, and we're seeing that the 10 old laps medium compound might be a little bit used since the last pit. But do you think Puchacz will be able somehow just to catch Razor? We're seeing that the time gap is going down and making a little bit more comfortable for the Puchacz, but the main question is that he will be able once again to fight between him and Razor just to came back on the P1.
The gap is closing down here for Puchacz. It's down a second in the past few laps. So I think Razor might be just backing off a little bit, trying to save those medium tires, because I don't think Razor is going to want to do another pit stop. We're seeing the gap float around 3 seconds here. And if you've noticed, Sanquinor and Fishu also, the gaps are opening up there. It's nearly a second between Sanquinor and Puchacz, and then a second back again between Fishu and Sanquinor. So it really, I think the drivers are starting to settle in here and just conserve to the end of the race and wait for someone to make an error. We saw, I believe it was Senor who had that big spin there out of Villanova, just a little bit of an error there in the big slide. So really, if you sit back and you just wait for someone else to make an error, which seems to be happening a lot here, then it kind of opens up a lot of opportunities. Ofsky and Senor swapping positions here. I don't know if that's actual racing or team orders here from Mercedes, but Ofsky up into P8 now and Senor down in P9.
With a very comfortable position right now is Puchacz, because in front of him is a ghost of the Vixie, and giving him the DRS. So this is a very comfortable situation for the Puchacz, because he will be able to get closer to the Razor, and we are seeing that from the 4 seconds we already have 2 second steps. So basically he somehow in the 2 laps he found 2 seconds just to trying to catch the Razor. Another lap, another DRS, and it will be a really helpful for the Puchacz. But anyway, Sanquinor is still trying to push, and the time between him and Puchacz isn't that big as in Puchacz versus Razor, but Sanguinior is in a much better place right now because Puchacz have 3 seconds time penalty and Sanguinior don't have anything. So currently, if he will be able to hold this race pace, he will be able to jump in front of the Puchacz, taking his second place.
And Velik's going to the pits here. I believe Fishu has actually dropped back a couple positions now. So Fishu, who was looking extremely strong, now down in P6. A little bit of a slide, I believe, or a spin there, because it looks like he is struggling a little bit now with tire temps and different items as he goes through. Sanguinior 4/10 of a second back on Puchacz, but Puchacz sticking behind the Ghost of Vixie there, which I think is a really interesting strategy for him. Velix went into the pits and is on to a fresh set of mediums, so Velix will be pretty pacey here to finish out the Grand Prix. Of course, 12-lap-old mediums on all of our top 9 runners. Kubo on 13-lap-old Hearts here with 10 laps to go. So by the end of the race, these mediums will be 23 laps old. And I think all of the drivers are going to be struggling by the end here.
We've seen a lot of magic situation in the whole FRL league, but I really want to see what magic would happen in today's race. Of course, on the ending of it, of the Imola Grand Prix, because for now Sanguinior is really chasing Puchacz. We're also seeing that fight between Ovski and Kushor. The Joker is still trying to catch Bemolino Gaucho. Velix trying to reach the Kubo, and it's a very possible situation to overtake him. Yeah, and he's done it on the main straight with the DRS, and Toby with another penalty. Toby, you really need to avoid to go outside the track limits because you already have 21 seconds time of penalty. Incredible.
Toby is really about to face disqualification, unfortunately for him. And I think for Toby, this is really going to be a race he's going to want to forget here. For Kubu, I believe I was saying the same thing about Kubu earlier, but now Kubu's in the points. So really interesting. We're starting to see some of the drivers pit here, Syntax. Senor pitting there in P12 and going on to a fresh set of softs. So are some of the drivers starting to reconsider their decisions on the mediums, you think, as we watch here? Joker 4/10 of a second back on Bimolino as they come down the run into Alta and then into Villeneuve and to Toza. Do we think some of these drivers are starting to reconsider their decision to stay on mediums, or are they all kind of committed in at this point and there's nothing they can do about it?
We can already see that on the Razor. He's driving as he was driving before, like on the fresh compound of the mediums. Just right now, he is losing only the half of the second of his best time. So it's not that much time, and I would say easily just to drive at the end of the race on this compound, but not every single driver is possible to make a really good saving of the compound, but we're seeing that Puchacz is like on the really flying mode and getting so much closer right now to the Razor.
Puchacz is getting the advantage of DRS as well from the lap traffic in front of him, which I think is helping him out just a bit here. So the gap now down to a second here between Puchacz and Razor. So I really think this is where the competition begins here. And watch Joker. Joker was so close to Bimolino there and right on his rear wing, just wasn't able to convert there. And look at Fishu back there in the back. Fishu going real wide, big snap of oversteer, somehow able to keep his car out of the wall. So these drivers are really starting to struggle with tire temperatures and grip here. But as we've said, it's a little too deep here for them to be able to do anything. And I think for Puchacz, he's saved just enough tire where here near the end, him and Razor are going to have a really strong battle as they go through. And you can see, looks like that was Toby right in front of them who runs off the track. So at this point, Puchacz 7/10 of a second back. It looks like he's saved just enough tire where he is going to be able to have a good run here on Razor and try to get the lead.
Maybe if he will be even possible to reach the lead of the race, he somehow need to manage how to get in front of the Razor with the 6 seconds time of the penalty. it might be a difficult because of Razor looking a very solid driver right now, and we're seeing that Puchacz will be trying to attack T1, and he's going wheel to wheel right now. Razor just back off, and Puchacz came back for his P1 currently.
Puhash back at the top of the grid here, and now it really is going to be the battle of can he pull 3 seconds in 7 laps, which from the pace he's been showing, I think could be possible, but it's going to be a very, very close battle as they go through here because now Razor's going to have DRS and Slipstream, so Razor is going to have to stick really close. For Puhash, it is going to really be a hope there of some sort of a mistake from Razor, but 16 lap on medium tires, Puhash is just is close of a possibility of making a mistake here as the drivers run through Aqua Minerale for the 25th time here as they continue to go around this track and try to finish this race up. Sanquinor is also trying to get in this battle, but Sanquinor, the gap around 1.7 seconds, and it stayed pretty consistent, so I don't know if Sanquinor has the pace to kind of come up above P3 here.
It's really hard to say, even though we're seeing that Razor also losing this time. Right now, of course, DRS zone, so he will get closer to the Puchacz. And I don't know why he didn't decide to use his battery. Of course, it is a very smart move because he will have a more battery for the end of the race. Of course, we have only 6 laps to go, but Puchacz really need to consider how to get in front of the Razor with the 6 seconds, because of right now he's losing, I will guess, 2 positions, and I'm not sure that Bemolino Gaucho also will not jump into the P3 right now, but I guess this time gap still make a little bit difference between those drivers, even those penalties of course also are counting here. Joker with a little bit slide in the Aqua Minerale, and this special moment for this race is a really calmer than we have on the beginning. Right now Kubu with less than 1 second behind the Senior Piotras with the 18 old lap hard compound. Senior Piotras on the fresh softs, and also Fishu decided to went to the pit from the previous lap on the fresh compound of the softs. Right now Sanquinor also deciding to do exactly the same thing. So do you think this might be helpful, because it looks like Razor and Puchacz would try to go on this compound until the end of the race?
Just 6 laps to go here, and for Sanquinor, he's now going to have around 20 seconds of a gap. Well, sorry, 30 seconds of a gap that he's going to have to figure out how to make up here. So the front 4, if they stay on, I think Sanquinor is just going to try to pull the fastest lap out here at the end. And I don't know what the penalties look like, but maybe he still ends up on the podium. But I don't believe so, with 18 seconds of a gap to Joker and then another 10 seconds through to podium. So Sanquinor just gonna go to steal the fastest lap here, and I think he's reserved himself back for just a points finish and not being on the podium.
About the penalties, Puchacz 6 seconds, Bemolino Gaucho 3 seconds, Joker 3 seconds, Fishu 9 seconds, Crash 6, Velix 3, Senior Piotras 14 seconds, Kushor 3 seconds, Ovski 6 seconds, Toby 21 seconds, and Vixie 12 seconds. So there is option, of course, just to go outside the track limits and maybe occasionally take like a single 3S, you know, but with more than 6-9, it might be a little bit tricky. And also, one more thing, Brad, do you see that weather is making a little bit darker than it was on the beginning of the race?
I did notice that, and I thought maybe it was just me seeing things, but 4 laps to go, and the weather's starting to get darker. There's no way we get rain at the end of this race, right?
I guess so. Puchacz with another 3 seconds time penalty, so I will say there's no chance to avoid losing his position right now, and it will be extremely difficult just to hold it because Razor is still chasing him down.
4 laps to go. This is crazy here. 9 seconds of penalties for Pujols. So Pujols is risking dropping all the way down into P3 here. Watch here as Razor is going to dive down the inside, and for Razor that is going to be P1 on track, and Razor with no penalties, which is really impressive.
And I will say this is the best debut that we have ever seen in the FRL. Right, Brad, because Razor with a beautiful race pace, very clean driver, and just like pure joyness for my eyes right now looking for this driver. And I will definitely looking on him for the rest of the current season right now.
I think we're going to see a lot more of Razor here in FRL than what we're seeing right now. Great battles all the way through here, and Razor P1 on track, P1 on the standings, no penalties. As you mentioned, great race pace and 20 lap on medium tires. But look at Pujols. It looks like a little bit slow there. Was Razor. So Pujols is going to come around side by side as they come through. Razor's going to back out of it there before the DRS detection. So Pujols back P1 on track, but again, 9 seconds of penalties. He's dropping all the way to P3 right now on the podium, which not a bad performance there from Pujols, but for what we've seen out of Pujols isn't where he's going to want to be. And look at Razor fighting back with DRS. Razor's going to be right back around the outside here. So Razor, 2 laps to go, and he is up on P1 again. So this battle up here in the front, even though I'm sure Pujols realizes exactly where he is at in terms of things, it's still going to battle on track. They're racers. They're not going to let things go. Sanquinor, there's his fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 1:16.7. And Syntax, it is getting darker still as we watch Toby DNFing there, going through, I believe that is Villeneuve that he was going through. I don't know what happened to him, but that is unfortunate for Toby DNFing there. So 13 drivers to finish the race here, unless somebody else makes an error before the end.
It doesn't look like we will have a safety car on the track, so probably 2 last laps in front of us. And Razor, as you said before, currently P1 on the track with a beautiful debut. A beautiful performance from this driver. High amount of the battery, over 90%, with only one pit strategy, so he just crashed, and I will say he just totally out of the pocket, and he is my driver of the day about the performance right now. Sanquinor with the fastest lap of the race, and there's nothing happening on the track right now, and we just have to wait. Vixie also DNF'd right now. He decided to retire in the pit lane, so there's nothing more just than wait until the end of the race, and we can only watch the battle between the Pujols and the Razor.
All of the time gaps have opened all the way up, as you said. Pujols and Razor, this is the battle, and as we know, with the 9 seconds of penalty for Pujols, this is really just for the glory of saying he was P1 on track at this point. Watching through here, the drivers, 22 laps on mediums for the top 4. They really are risking these tires. These tires can't be happy here as we come around for the next to final time. They're going to hit Ravazza, and as they cross the line, it'll be 1 lap to go. And Syntax, split 2 as always, bringing all the fun here and really showing us some of the joys of FRL and some of the great racing that these drivers bring through. As we start the final lap here, Razor is going to just cruise for 1 lap and just hold on and hope nothing crazy happens here through to the end.
Pujols is trying to attack with a beautiful defense from the Razor. Pujols just went on the yellow curve that is extremely dangerous, but somehow he managed to stay on the track, going back behind the Razor, and I'm really admiring right now the way of the style of driving from the Razor, and it looks like really awesome. And I wish this driver a really good luck in the upcoming races because he is able to fight for the best, and I think it's time to say that Puchacz finally found a really good driver to battle for the rest of the upcoming season, because right now Puchacz is currently leading of the general standings, and of course he just won previous 3 races, so maybe Razor will be able to beat his previous achievements.
It's going to be a fun season to watch here as we watch Razor come around the final corner. Little swerves of happiness there. Puchacz, 3 wins in a row, and that streak is broken by the debut of Razor here in FRL. 24-lap-old mediums. Razor comes across P1. Puchacz P2. Bimolino is going to hit P3 there. Joker comes across for P4. Sanquinor coming around P5. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix, I believe, came from him. We'll have to double-check that, and it was Sanquinor with the fastest lap, stealing that extra point away there. Fishu is going to come across for P6. Crash, P7, just now coming around Ravazza. So the grid really, really calm as they come around here. Crash is going to come across for P7. Senor, who is just now hitting Ravazza as well, will be P8, I believe. Penalties, of course, can mix things up just a little bit. As we watch the drivers go through, Senor's going to lock in that P8 there. Velix jumps him, though, after penalties. And same with Kushor. So Senor finishing P10 here. Kubu is going to be coming around for P11 and P12. Ofsky in the Mercedes, the final driver to cross through. But 24 lap all mediums, a daring one-stop strategy, and Razor on his FRL debut wins. I think the last time we saw that was when Zalazny came into FRL. I believe he did the same thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it might be exactly the same situation, and it's a really pure joy from the Razor just to see how beautiful race from this driver. He's shown us a beautiful pace, a really good fight between him and I was trying to say Żelazny Puchacz. A beautiful, and I would say the best debut that you can even imagine.
Absolutely, that is the greatest way to kick off your debut here in a season, in a league. So congratulations, Razor, on a beautiful race here. And looking through, Puchacz, I know it could stink that your position was taken there and that you didn't get the 4th win in a row, but it's going to be a competitive season for the rest of the season here in FRL, and I cannot wait to sit back and watch exactly what happens. Syntex, I know you need to get ready to race here. Good luck here in Imola. I know this season has been pretty fun for you so far. There's been some moments, but as I always say, I have a great feeling and I'm rooting for you today, okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Brad, and take care, and I hope you stay with us for our Split 1 upcoming race.
Absolutely. Syntax, thank you so much. Hang out with us here. This race did finish a little faster than it usually does here in FRL, so hang out for just a little bit, enjoy some music, chat up in chat, give us about 20-ish minutes, and we will be bringing Split 1 straight to you.